we go. Let's pause the music. Hello, mob family. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing okay today. All right. Let's get this show started. Welcome to MoB Kaffeeklatsch, episode 126. Here we are. Let's see. Let me get the comments up. It's acting a little slow today. Here we go. Let me say hello to everyone. Comments. Yeah, here we go. All right. Chris Chrisman, hello. Evan, hello. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Richard, good morning. Hello. Yes, 11:30 start, so it is 11:30. There might be a little weirdness because it's showing up on not the Bitten Peaches. For those of you on Facebook, it's not on the Bitten Peaches, but it's on the Orlando A. Sanchez. I don't know how that happened, but Facebook is strange. Can you check to see if it's on BP at all? And see. Good morning, Connie. Welcome. Let's see who else is here. Heather, good morning. Don't worry, even if you're limping, we're still going in. Good, way early. Good morning, Jeanette. Good morning, Linda. Awesome. We're on both then, right? Okay, excellent. So we are on BP and we're on Orlando A. Sanchez as well. I think we'll do that from now on. Just do both. Make it easier. People can find us in more places. Good morning, Paige. Yeah. Whether it's Bitten Peaches or Orlando A. Sanchez, I think I'm pretty sure Chris put up the Orlando A. Sanchez. Yeah, but they're changing their UI. They're doing a whole bunch of strange stuff. So this is not new for us, guys. We've been through this with them before. So this is the norm. We adapt. Oh, I'm sorry you have a migraine, Jeanette. Welcome. And go to bed, Jeanette. Get some rest. Hello, Suma. Welcome. So hello to everyone on YouTube. Good morning, Audrey. Hello. Welcome. Kitty, good morning. If the migraine gets too bad, Jeanette, and things start getting, bleary-eyed, then go to bed. If not, if the migraine meds kick in, hang out with us for a little while. Dan the man, hello. Camp Crystal Lake Day, awesome. Welcome, Dan, Mr. Awesome. Welcome. All right. Got a nice group here. And I want to say a huge welcome to everyone who's new today. If this is your first time, welcome to our MoB Kaffeeklatsch. Welcome to the stream. Some of you might have been seeing me. Yeah, Jeanette, please go get some rest, really. If your migraine is that bad, just, we record it, just you can watch later. Huge shout out to Jeanette, who's dealing with a migraine. Go get some rest, Jeanette. So if you've been watching the channel for a little while, you'll notice I'll get into it in a little while, but we've been doing some other stuff, which we'll get into in a little while. Let me do our usual shout outs. So let's see. We've got everyone on YouTube. Thank you for being here with us. It's really appreciated. Thank you all YouTube people and everyone out in the world. Hello, YouTube. You can find us at Bitten Peaches Publishing and the MoB Kaffeeklatsch Storyteller also. And that's the MoB Kaffeeklatsch headings on those channels. Those are the longer channels. We're on Instagram at Bitten Peaches. You can find some stuff there. I'm putting stuff up on Instagram. Not so much Bitten Peaches stuff, but more personal stuff. So more of my training, working out stuff on Instagram about what I'm doing and how I'm rowing and the monstrous kettlebells that I'm using. So that I'm kind of getting back into the Instagram thing, and I'll start putting up some more book related things, Monty Strong related things. So definitely. Good morning, Don. Welcome. On Zazzle, do we have anything new in Zazzle, designer? Nothing new, but we have an abundance of stuff, swag on Zazzle. So go visit Zazzle. May I have a Zazzle link? And I'll put it up. Zazzle is our store, so go there and check out the inventory that we have there in our store, and you'll find a whole bunch of amazing stuff. This hat is Zazzle swag, so it's M&S, and the name of the store, coincidentally, is M&S, which is EMANDES. And if you go there, and you'll visit, you'll see so much swag, so much amazing stuff. I wish I could just get one of everything from the store, really. Here's our link. Let's see how long this is going to take because it's acting kind of funky today. Yeah, it is definitely acting a little laggy. So that's the link. Go there, click on that link, use that reference number, so it gives us analytics that we can track, and then you can just browse if you want to pick up some amazing items. All of them have been designed by either our senior designer or our lead designer. Our lead designer is Dolly, or no, our lead designer is Zoya, I think, and our most senior designer is Dolly. So just go there, take a look, browse through, and you'll see some amazing stuff. So that's our Zazzle store. I'll leave the link up for a little while, and hopefully everyone is doing okay. So wait, let me promote our Patreon. So we have new patrons. We have Suma, who's here in the chat with us from YouTube. She's watching. So thank you, Suma, for your Patreon patronage and joining our Patreon and being part of our amazing group of patrons. And Brett Morse is also new. So you're seeing only 3 comments, Linda. That's interesting. I'm seeing a lot more comments than 3. Check your feed. Maybe you're in the different room, because now it's on YouTube, it's on Bitten Peaches, and it's also in the Orlando A. Sanchez group. So it's in various groups. So you may be seeing 3 comments because you're in one of the different groups, one of the different rooms. It's all over the place. We're spreading out. We're getting wider and wider, which is awesome. So thank you to our Patreons people. You guys are amazing. Thank you for going above and beyond. Hopefully you're getting awesome stories. And if you're watching this and it's recorded and you're watching it later, a huge shout out to all our patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing. So a big thank you to all of you. Chris, do we have any authors to promote today? Any new stories, books that they've written out? I know you just mentioned that we may have some. So we'll see. Jasmine, comments only show after you join, and if you accidentally leave it only shows from after you join. Oh, see? I did not know that, Jasmine. Thank you for letting me know that's how this worked.
No, it's because of the split. So those people who joined through BP, they're only seeing
BP people.
The BP people comments.
Right, and those who joined through Orlando A are only seeing Orlando. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give them the other link.
Yeah, just give them the link, and everyone go to one link. Whatever link has more people, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. All right, Chris. Oh, so we have. Okay, so let me preface this by saying that in the MoB, and one of our driving principles is that we support our indie authors, right? So this is. I'm going to replace the link, hopefully. Yes, this is MM Crumley or Crumley. She writes the Immortal Doc Holiday stories from loneghostpublishing.com and /fathom. This is the link. She just released, I don't know if it's just released, but it's recently released Immortal Doc Holiday number 16. So there are quite a number of these books. Go out there. It's a great series. And enjoy the writing. We support our indie authors, and she's a really good writer. And the stories are a lot of fun from what I understand. I have quite a few of these books. Let's see. So this is the link that you want them to use, that one. Oh, she just released it last week. Fantastic. So I wish her much success and that she gets a lot of readers from this. And sales, of course, because, we want any authors to be successful as well. Let's see. Yeah, each feed has its own chat feed. So I see 14. But I know it's divided, and then there's some on YouTube, and it's kind of like it's split all over the place. So somehow we'll figure it out. I think by having it divided amongst the Orlando A. Sanchez and the Bitten Peaches, it breaks it down even further, right? So that's what happens. Again, that's something that's a little bit outside of our control because Facebook and YouTube, they change their algorithms and they change their UIs in this case. And so many times they do not notify anyone when they make these changes. We sometimes come on And I like to come on early, and it's still like you get on, and all of a sudden everything's different. And we've had some interesting technical difficulties with Facebook and YouTube. So yeah, so bear with us, and we adapt. We're nimble. We move around, and we try to do it the way. So we'll see. Chris is our technomancer, and he's working around to see if we can get all the chats in one place. See, that would be great. Maybe we should create. That's an idea, Chris. Maybe we create a place just for the Kaffeeklatches. That's something to consider. Let's have a discussion about that at some point this week, because I think that would be a great idea. Just have one place. Everyone goes to the Kaffeeklatsch, maybe a Kaffeeklatsch room or the Kaffeeklatsch cafe or something like that, and we'll just have everyone go there, and it's only used for the Kaffeeklatches. Something to think about for sure. All right, let me take off this link. Hiding this. The links will be up in the MoB at the end of the show, and please go get that book by M.M. Crumley. That'd be awesome. Exactly, one dedicated place for the show that's not Bitten Peaches Publishing, and that's not Orlando A. Sanchez, but basically the MoB Kaffeeklatsch Cafe, something like that. Sort of like what we did for Dolly. Created a great room for Story September, so something like that, a room that's just for that thing. I only show a few too, but then I only show 2 of us watching on Bitten Peaches. Yes, there's more. There's a lot more than 2, Paige, so don't worry. Oh, this is our wiki fandom page. So Paige and Jeanette are doing this. Let me put this up. Hopefully it'll show. It's acting funky. Ah, there we go. This is our wiki fandom page. So please visit this page. Oh, I just took it off. Please visit this page. The link will come up shortly. And if you consider that there's something missing from the page, the wiki fandom page, then please contact Paige and see if you can add whatever the information you think is missing. Right. What is this? Oh, okay, awesome. So what is? Oh, so it's the same. It's the same link, isn't it, Paige? Right. It looks like it's the same page. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it is. So please contact Paige and touch base with her and see if you could just add to the wiki that we have going, because it's a lot of work and it's looking awesome, but it's a lot of work for one person or even 2 people. All right, so it's clickable. Okay, awesome. So let me see if I can do this. I don't know if it's gonna be. Can you see if it's clickable, babe? Awesome. All right, fantastic. I don't know who MXCDS is, but welcome, MXCDS. Is that you, Paige, again on YouTube? Only because they're waving, so it seems like it's you. All right, so how's everyone doing? So those of you that are in Story September, how are you doing? Suma, it happens, I get this. Oh, hi, Lisa, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to our Kaffeeklatsch. Sometimes, Suma, I hear that a lot with Monty and Strong too. I hear that, people say, I think it all depends on the reader connecting to the characters or to the story. It just happens. Yeah, I bet you are, Paige. Innocent. So I get what you're saying. It can happen. What have I told authors? I've told them your story is not going to be for everyone. So write for your tribe and write the story that you want to read, and you will find your tribe for sure. There's some controversy with NaNoWriMo this year. I don't want to get too much into it, but they've gone on the record as endorsing AI, and it's creating a serious uproar in the NaNoWriMo committee. Our Story September is very similar to that, but it's close but not the same, because we don't have the same kind of guidelines, but it's kind of the same feel where you get together, you write a project, and you try to complete it within a month. And NaNoWriMo has gone on record of saying it's okay for writers to use AI to complete their works. And there's 2 camps. There's one that's like, no, that's not okay. And there's another one that's like, it's okay. And it's a big deal. I'm removing the banner because it's covering my face. Hold on. Okay. It should be coming off. There we go. So that's the issue right now with NaNoWriMo. So Story September reminds me of our Story September is like our NaNoWriMo, which is really awesome. Let's see. Jasmine is saying Story September is definitely helpful. It keeps me thinking about the story, which makes me make notes. And then said, yes, it's really important that when you have the story and you keep it present, it's something that helps you when you get to the actual writing. It brings up all those ideas out. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Dolly, who came up with that concept of Story September. All those banners that you see are her work. She's like, I think she has more than 30 banners. All those banners are just like interchanging, and they're all amazing. And I'm the first one that waits for the new banner for the new day, you know? So it's pretty amazing. And she's taken on that whole thing. And so a huge shout out to Dolly for taking that on and creating a space for all of us writers to kind of relax and write and kind of go after that story that may have been evading us for some time, and now we can kind of just get into a space and just feel comfortable about chasing it. Doesn't without pressure, you know, and that's the key, that it's without pressure. So thank you, huge thank you, Dolly, huge thank you. Chris says we only want AIs in the story we write, not using it to write. Yeah, I don't condone, and this is my position because I don't like doing it. I don't condone the use of AI to write a story. I don't think it's a good idea. Plus, I think people would be able to tell, because AIs don't create anything. They just use what's out there already and repurpose it, right? So at least when it comes to the actual writing, maybe not so much in art, but then in art, they create things with 6 fingers, or the thumbs are in the wrong direction, or they have more arms than they need. It's so weird, you know? So my advice to you as a writer, if you could stay away from it, don't use AI to write your stories. It's going to get noticed, I think, you know? It's not true artificial intelligence. It really isn't. So please don't believe the hype, okay? Do what we're doing with Story September. Come join us in Story September and write your story with us. Yeah, it's cropping up everywhere. I think even Google now, if you Google something, it uses AI to get you the information. So yeah, it's the AI. We're not going to be able to escape it, but we have to utilize it as what it is, which is a tool, and don't let it replace the actual creative endeavors that it's there, you know? I'm glad that you're back here, Lisa. And hello, Michelle. If I missed anyone else, I apologize. Hello and welcome to our MoB Kaffeeklatsch. Heather says, I got 114 new words. Yes, that's 114 new words closer to the end, so that's great. I wouldn't let you join via StreamYard, so it took your minute. Sorry, Michelle. I don't know. It's acting kind of funky today. What is Audrey saying? My problem has always been thinking too much and never getting to the writing. So Story September really hurts. Yeah, and I hope that book, let me see if I have it here. It's for the writers who don't know. One moment, please. So this is the book that I suggested, The War of Art, and it's by Steven Pressfield. As you can see, it's one of my desktop. It's one of my reference books. I like reading it every so often. So I hope that book helps you out, Audrey. New comments. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good point, Linda. Giving prompts is not the same thing as writing a story. It's very different. Right, and see, with Paige, I understand that with the art, with the graphics, I could see using AI as a tool to create art, because it gives you a start to work with, and then you can kind of manipulate that and improve it and make it better. I don't see how that would work with the actual writing, but you know, I'm on the other side. Like I'm firmly in the camp of don't use AI to write your story, because as a writer, you don't grow creatively that way. That's my thing, you know. I have new comments. Let's go. Yeah, Steven's emails. So if you can subscribe to his his newsletter. His emails are short, but they're really good, and they're really like impactful. I read all his emails. He sends them out on Wednesdays, and they're really good. Oh, here's the book. Here's the link. Let me just put it up. Thank you, Dolly. This is the link for the book. Even if you're not in Story September, if you are an aspiring writer or even a veteran writer, this is a book that will really help you out, because that sensation of not wanting to write your story, Stephen calls it resistance, and everyone has a different name for it, right? And he calls it resistance, and how we encounter it and what it kind of means. Like, the greater your project, the better your project, the more resistance you're going to encounter. So Stephen breaks it down for you on how to deal with it, how to maintain your creativity even in the face of resistance, and how to overcome it. So it's a good book, and it's short. This is like, it's really small. Let me see. Hold on. It's like it's 100 and wow, it's really short. 163 pages is what I want. Yeah, it's 163. It's a fast read, guys, but it's profound. So get it, read it, enjoy it, implement it, and let me know how it affects your writing. I'm glad you got it, Audrey. I hope it really does help. So I think that's the kind of book we want to suggest at the beginning of every Story September, Dolly. Because most of the writers in Story September are dealing with some kind of resistance, Yeah, Paige, I'm with you on that one. No AI in writing, because it's a no-no. I don't want to get into the AI conversation too much, because I'm going to drop this because it could be touchy for some people. But yes, try to stay away from AI in your writing. It's a tool, and use it as such, but don't let it replace your creativity, because then it just becomes you lose something in that, All right, so what do we have? I have the podcast list. Do we have the pod? I can't even get the words out. The podcast list. So here's the podcast. Oh my God, I can't get these words out. Podcast. Jeez. Here's the podcast list. Oh, that's gonna be fun. So here's the list for the podcast. So I've started not a short podcast, but a podcast of short videos, right? This is it. It's called Creative Warrior Wisdom. I've tried to number them. Sometimes I don't number them, but I'm going to be very diligent about numbering them, because this makes it easier for me. Yes, podcast, Richard. And so it's Creative Warrior Wisdom, and these are shorts that are about 5 to 7 minutes long. And it's basically, I try to take some wisdom. Not that I'm so old that I have all this wisdom, but I try to share wisdom from like the Stoics, so like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, a lot of the famous Stoics, Aristotle, like the Stoics, right? And also just life wisdom that I've learned, some martial arts wisdom that I've learned, warriorship wisdom, like that one post that I put up, that it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, kind of thing. So wisdom like that. It's very short. I try to apply it to life, so it makes sense for all of us, right? And let me get this out of my face, because geez. And it's on the YouTube. I'm trying to do them daily. So far, I haven't missed a day yet, which is pretty cool, pretty amazing. They're short and really easy to do. It's not like this, which is an hour and 10 minutes. These are 5 minutes, and I try to make them 5 minutes, and I'm done. I don't want it to be huge productions, but they look just like this. And I have my Be Uncommon shirt, because it's a touch point and a branding thing that I want you to be uncommon, like I say at the end of every MoB Kaffeeklatsch. And so I want to encourage you all to go to the Creative Warrior Wisdom. It's on the same channel as Bitten Peaches Publishing, but they're short. So it's going to be in the shorts area of Bitten Peaches. Just watch them. If you can, like them. And, it helps. The more likes that they get, the more it helps the channel grow. So share them with people. They're really, you can say, hey, I heard this great short, and just share one of those links, because they're made to be listened to in about 5 minutes, and then you go on with your day. So go enjoy the podcast. I'm going to keep doing them. It's basically, if they help one person, it's worth it. And that's basically, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people telling them that they really enjoyed it. So like Richard was just saying, he watched the last one live and it was good. So thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can watch the other ones as well. I saw you there too. I can't get into like greeting people on the Creative Warrior Wisdom because I only have 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So if I spend like 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, before you know it, I only have 3 minutes. So I don't greet people on that one. It's basically for everyone's consumption, everyone to watch it. But just know that if you come to that and you say hello, I have a blanket hello to everyone who comes to watch those, right? And like them, share them, leave a comment if you can. I'm always open to feedback on how to make them better. If there's something that you think might be missing from the podcast, I'm willing to listen to the feedback and the constructive criticism because I want to get better. I'm not, I'm growing as well. I want them to get better, and I will listen to the feedback that you give me. If there's something that can change, I'll try to adjust and adapt to it, to make it better. Yeah, these are just small blurbs of wisdom, and they help. And basically, I get my daughter Valkyrie to watch them every morning under the pretense of, did you like the video today? And so, but they get to watch it and they get to listen. And so hopefully they can get some wisdom through osmosis, sort of like subtle wisdom moments. So yeah, so go there. I'm up to 14 videos at this point. So, and they're not connected. They're not they're not in sequence, even though they're numbered. You can watch any one, and they're all titled, so they're easy to kind of remember. And most of them are numbered. I'm going to try and be very diligent about numbering them because it does make it easier. Yeah. So that is the Creative Warrior Wisdom component of Bitten Peaches. So go there and watch those. All right. So what am I working on? Updates. So yeah, 5 minutes is that's when it's a speech class. 5 minutes. I remember when I did speech, 5 minutes feels like an eternity. And now when I did the first one, it felt long. And now that I do them, I'm doing them every day. And I'm kind of used to the long form like this, which is a little, it's an hour and 10. So sometimes it goes even longer. But 5 minutes felt like a long time when I first started doing speech class. And now I do 5 minutes. And before I know it, I'm setting up everything. I do the video. And before I know it, the time is up. I'm like, I got to make sure I get everything I want to say about this topic in, or else it just disappears. And I don't want the videos to run too long. I really don't want to go past 7 minutes. So if it's just the time flies. Like even now with the Kaffeeklatsch, we start at 11:30. It's already 12. And I'm like, when did that happen? It's just like, it felt like 5 minutes, 10 minutes have just passed. And it's really 30 minutes have passed. It just goes so quick. Suma says, I think you should use a bunch of thumbnails so it will get more reach. Your videos and books deserve more attention and reach. That's my opinion. I agree completely with your opinion, Suma. I think 5 minutes is a perfect amount of time. I don't know how to get thumbnails. How do we get the thumbnails? Can we look into that? Chris, our technomancer, and Dolly, our amazing co-pilot. I don't know how to get thumbnails. I don't know. Thumbnails, I just kind of like leave my image there. So they just see a picture of me going like this, So as it grows, I guess we'll look into making thumbnails. I know the Kaffeeklatsch has awesome thumbnails, but I don't know we'll look into it. But Suma, I think it's a great idea. And I completely agree that the books and the videos need more attention, but this is a process. We've been doing this organically. And so we'll have to look into that. I don't know if we need to do a separate thumbnail. Is that practical? Because that seems like a lot of work. We have, I don't know how many videos we have at this point. We have a lot of videos. It's like when Dolly tells me, you've got to change something in the book, in the back matter of the book. And I'm thinking, in all the books? And she goes, yeah, in all the books. You got to change the back matter of all the books. I'm like, all of them? Yeah. So I think back to all the books, just what I've written in Monty and Strong is 24 books. Like, and that's not counting all the other books. I'm like, yeah, okay. So we can't use AI. We're not using AI. We're kind of very firmly against AI here. So only because it goes across other things. And we say we're not using AI in other things. And so we start using AI there. we can't strictly say that we're not AI. So we'll figure it out though. I agree though that it will increase the reach. I also think that as we continue, as we keep doing this, we'll get more and more subscribers and it'll grow. It'll grow, you know? So let me get to what we're doing. So Shield Bearer, which is Mountain Strong 25, which is what if you're in our Patreon, you're reading, I guess, what are we up to? Chapter what? Chapter 3. So we're up to chapter 3 in Patreon. That's what you're reading right now. So Shield Bearer is becoming a lot of fun. Things. So I think I can say this without spoiling the story. For the longest time, and I'm sure a lot of you have shared this sentiment, readers have been telling me that Simon has been at this for too long to be acting so clueless. It's time for him to kind of understand that he has this power and that he can do things with it, and that he should really kind of like level up. Shield Bearer is kind of like the beginning of that happening in Simon's life. He's finally getting to that point where he's accepting the fact that he can't say, I'm not a mage, or I'm new to this, or whatever the case may be. He has to understand that it's time for him to step up or step into the responsibilities that he has. And so Shield Bearer is kind of the turning of that for him. So he doesn't have the excuse of I'm not a mage anymore. And he's having an extended conversation with Kali, and without spoiling anything, she kind of, it's kind of like one of those smack him up the head moments. Like, get with it already. You know what you are. You know what you got to do. And so that's what's happening. And that's why the book is also titled Shield Bearer, because he's finally getting his act together. And in order to get his act together, the first thing he kind of has to step into, besides being the mark of Kali, is that he's a shield bearer or shield warrior. And so this book kind of has him go on this journey. And it's the beginning of Simon becoming a force unto himself. So remember, he's a shield bearer, he's a mark of Kali, he's the bonded to Peaches. And so all these things are now starting to coalesce and making him, he's going to make him a really, really scary, powerful character. So, yeah. But yes, it's time that he has to kind of like, all right. So Kali has a nice conversation with him in the beginning and uses a lot of tough love conversation, bouncing him all over the place and introducing him to the fact that this is what you got to do. Yes, the cosmic divine 2x4 upside his head. And that's what's happening in Shield Bearer. And so that's been a lot of fun to write. And that's what I'm currently working on. And then I worked on, it's welcome, Wendy, you made it. He doesn't have a concussion yet? No, Rebecca, not yet. And welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a moment, Michelle. So I'm also working on the Patreon story, The Bureau, and I have art to give you for The Bureau. So yeah. The Bureau has been a fun project. I think you guys will like it. It's what I consider to be a very UF noir story. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think you guys will really like it. It's been fun. Has the Bureau have you put out chapters of the Bureau? No, not yet, right? At the end of the month, September. At the end of September, the Bureau comes out for Patreon people. All right, yeah, it's a Patreon only story. It's like, what do you call it? Patreon exclusive. And so if you're not part of Patreon, is there a tier for that? Like you have to be a certain tier to get the Bureau?
All the tiers.
Even the free one?
All the paid tiers.
All the paid tiers. Get the story. So guys, if you want to read the exclusive Patreon stories, I think you have to be from what tier above? What's the title? Enchanter?
Tiers, baby. Yes.
So from Enchanter up. Yeah, Enchanter above. You get access to all the exclusive Patreon stories, which I'm biased because I wrote them, but they're really fun and they're really awesome. So you should do that. So go get be an enchanter. Come on, you've always wanted to be an enchanter anyway. So Michelle says, always felt he was compartmentalizing in order to deal with the reality of a situation. And it's what we do as humans, right? We chunk things. So we make them smaller so that we can deal with them, right? And so he's been doing that. Let me just put up the Patreon link that Dolly so graciously gave me. It'll show up in a moment. Yeah. So yes, Michelle, I agree. I think there's a lot of compartmentalizing in there. But after a while, that goes past being a coping mechanism, and it becomes a crutch, and it becomes a hiding mechanism because there's so much going on. There's no way I can face it, and so. But he's being completely human in that reaction because a lot of it, if you think about everything that he's had to face, it's overwhelming, and it would short circuit most brains. So he has done as much as he can do in that direction, but now he has to come face to face with the reality that he's currently dealing with, and start breaking down some of the walls that make up those compartments. And it's hard, and he's still gonna try and cope, but he's got to get past that. And like Chris is saying, pain is a great learning tool, especially for Simon. Pain is a great learning tool. I'm going to take down the Patreon link. It's going down. Yeah, but he's getting his stuff together. He's getting his crap together. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. And what happens is, I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But if he can't get his act together, the enemies that he's going to face will wipe the floor with him and destroy everything and everyone around him and in his life. So he has real incentive to face the reality that he's currently in the midst of. And that's basically what drives him to do the things that he needs to do. Like right now, no, I can't say. I was going to say something that was really story important. But right now, he's going to get his act together to become a shield bearer or a shield warrior, the Aspis. And so, yeah, I can't say much more than that. But, it's coming along. And if you're reading the Patreon story, like the chapters, you see what's happening in the chapters. He's having an interesting time with Kali. It's tough. It's hard talking about the book when you can't say much about the book. He easily accepts everyone else's supernatural statuses. This is Michelle, but hiding from his own. He's not human anymore. I think he worries about losing that part of him. It's easy, Michelle, and if you look at people who've suffered trauma or really traumatic incidences and have PTSD as a result of it, it's easy to accept other people's situations. It's very hard to reconcile your role in the trauma that you're experiencing. And it's very hard to accept the psychological change that comes with transformation. A lot of people cannot cope with it. And a lot of people have psychotic breaks because of it. So can you tell I've been doing research on this? So it's like that. But yeah, Dawn, that's actually, you're jumping ahead. The next book, which is, I'm looking at the list of books, Saints and Monks, is a master yacht book dealing with both of them, but really focusing on Monty and getting his stuff together too. Monty is a different path because Monty initially went down a darker path and was brought back through the keeper situation, and he's kind of reset on the path, and now he has to go down the proper path. And so, or a path that wasn't involved with blood and darkness and becoming a dark mage. And so that's going to be the next one, Saints and Monks, and Master Yacht is going to be there to help Monty get his crap together too. So yeah, Chris says, how would you describe the magic in your books and Simon using it, although he's not a mage? That's wow. That could be a show. That could be an episode all in itself. So Monty, if you think about Monty's magic or magical system, specifically to Monty, it's very elemental based, but it goes into, so he kind of uses all of the elements, and it's based, a lot of it has history back into the old Chinese elements. So air, water, fire, earth, void. And so these kind of elements are the ones that are kind of based on, and it goes way back into the historical aspects of those elements and how they're taught. That would be a whole, we'd have to sit down and discuss that whole thing. But there's a whole historical precedent for that. Simon using it, he's not really using what Monty uses. Simon's, if you want to call it magic, Simon's magic is more life force magic because he has an abundance of it, and it's part, If you think about why it would be life force magic, it's because it's connected to the curse that he's currently under from Kali. And that's why he's able to manipulate that energy, because he has so much, there's an abundance of life force. And so his energy manipulation is directly related to the fact that he's immortal. So that's why he's not a mage, but he could use this energy. And then once he learns how to use it, because it's based on his life force, he basically has an unlimited source of energy. He just has to learn how to use it. And that's why it's basically natural magic energy, right? That's basically what he has. And the fact that he can tap into his life force makes him dangerous, because he's immortal. And so if you have an unlimited source of energy, the danger there is the power creep, right? So the check on Simon is that he could be rendered mortal by certain beings and in certain instances. So like when he touches his mark, for that time frame that he's there in that space where time is in stasis, he's mortal. And so, and of course, Kali can render him mortal instantly. And so there are things like that. There are checks and balances to his power. Because if not, then he becomes so powerful that nothing can stop him. You know? Okay, thought Monty used one of the 4 branches: divine, elemental, draconic, fey. Yeah, he doesn't really use the 4 branches. He uses he's more elemental. If you go through all the books, you'll see that he's used air, water, fire, earth, and void. He's used them all at one point or another. They just haven't all been called that way, but it's there. Let's see. Will Peaches add to that unlimited energy when Simon gets a better handle of it? The Peaches dimension makes it really interesting to Simon's power, because what Peaches brings to that equation is what would be an infernal component, because he's a hellhound, and the combination of what happens when they become a unit in that battle form and how that changes. Right, because Kali's always said Peaches is not immortal, and we know that Peaches is not immortal. But what happens in that battle form, and does Simon's manipulation of energy cover Peaches or enhance Peaches? So that would be fun to explore, and that requires them going to have a conversation with Hades and Cerberus. So that's going to be a whole different component to what happens to Simon, and what makes him even more dangerous is that as an immortal, he's already dangerous. But when you couple being an immortal and then being bonded to a hellhound, and then both of them having a battle form that makes them virtually unstoppable, this is why people want to kill them now. Because it's basically, you want to be proactive with a being like that before they get into their power. Because once they get into their power, they're pretty much unstoppable. So you want to kill them now while they're weak, before they step into their full power. Let's see. Love in the M&S world. Good question. Yeah. Can we get some passion from our leading ladies? I can understand the relationships are completed, but at book 25, we should get something more. I'll think about it, Suba. I'm writing a whole series that has passion, so I don't know. We'll see. In regards to Chi, you'll be able to see more of it only because she left the Dark Council. So you're going to see more agency from her. And by seeing more agency from her, you'll be able to see more passion. Roxanne, that whole situation in the upcoming books is going to be pushed to a head, because there's always this unspoken, Roxanne's being hunted, and why is she in Haven, and she can't leave Haven properly, and there's a whole, Monty's overly protective of her, but why? That's going to come to a head. There's going to be like a Roxanne-centered book. So yeah, but the passion, it's very understated, because the Mountain Strong series is not that kind of series where you see a lot of passion. Not that way, at least, Let's see. Michelle says he's currently self-limiting himself, which Peaches and Monty keep telling him because of that issue with his humanity. I think so. I think that's a good way to read it. And once he understands, which is happening in Shieldbearer, that he's not completely human anymore. What's the line that's used? Oh, Kali. Okay, I can say this. Kali says, it's a Princess Bride line, because me and Princess Bride, right? So he says, Mostly human means slightly inhuman, and it starts to dawn on him that all these things that you're capable of mean that you're not entirely human. You have to understand that you're not entirely human. So that starts the catalyst of it. Bye bye, Laura. Take care. Have a great weekend. Will Peaches ever speak out loud so Monty can hear him? That's a good question. I don't know if I can have Peaches speak out loud because he's bonded to Simon, and I kind of want to make that that speech, that conversation special to him. But what I can do is have someone facilitate Monty hearing Peaches so that he can't hear him outright on his own because of the bond, but someone can make it so that he can hear Peaches through the bond that Peaches has with Simon, so that he could hear him, but only because someone else facilitates it, you know? So yeah, it can happen. If anyone's gonna do that, it would be either Hades or another god that could deal with at that level and make it so that Peaches and Monty can have a conversation. Wendy says the passion is in the beatdowns. Yes, there's a lot of passion in those beatdowns for sure. Yeah, it's not a matter that there's no time for love, but it's not their focus. You have to understand it's like they demonstrate their emotional attachments to. I mean, think about the relationships. Simon is involved with a vampire, right? Because you can't just say, "Oh, she's my girl, she's my wife, she's my." She's a vampire, and she's like ancient, and so it's not going to be a normal relationship. And he's immortal. So it's not going to be like a regular relationship. And with Roxanne, she's a sorceress. So she already has an inherently kind of dark side that Monty really can't get too involved with because it calls to him. And he can't get too involved with the dark aspect of magic because he has a propensity for it. And he's already kind of gone down that path and it didn't lead to someplace good. So as much as he wants to be with Roxanne and cares for her and has emotions for her, he cannot completely give himself to that relationship because it's dangerous for him and in turn dangerous for Roxanne and everyone else around him. So there are definite limitations to those relationships. And the same thing with Simon and Chi. You've got the blades involved there and and the blood hunters and everything that's happened in the history with those blades. It's an issue because she gave him Ebensoul and he bonded to Ebensoul. And there's a lot of history there and there's a lot of issues with those blades that tie in Gray as well. Now you're dealing with Night Wardens and it's all this kind of convoluted kind of situation that they might be there together, but there's a lot of stuff in there pulling them in different directions, So, but they've expressed how they feel for each other. Like Chi has said it, Simon has said it, Monty has said it, Roxanne has said it. They've expressed it. This is not the kind of book where you're gonna see them gushing over each other because one, the characters aren't like that way. They don't gush. And it's not that kind of story. It's not like a romantic story. Now, Fated Fury and the Dark Mages, that's a different kind of story. That series has gushing, but not yet, but it will, Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, like Chris says, true love needs no words, says the old married man. It's true, right? But you have to say it every so often. And they do. It's just not in the conventional way, right? Heather says, love too deep, enemies too many. Yeah. You also have to understand that loving someone makes you vulnerable. And Monty's very aware of this, which is why Roxanne is being protected. And Simon's aware of this, but I don't think Simon has to worry as much, though the Blood Hunters present a real threat. But if they find, if his enemies, which are Kali's enemies, if they find out that he really cares about Chi, they may not come after him. They'll go after her. And now he has to go and fight and defend her, which makes him vulnerable. And so it becomes this kind of really delicate balance of I can't show too much emotion. If I put myself out there, they're going to try and kill her, but then they're going to try and kill me. And it gets really, this is kind of constant tension, which is intentional, guys. So, yeah, the actions speak much louder than the words do in their situation, like Michelle is saying. Right, Monty does it. So Monty is a little okay. So Monty generally is standoffish because he's English and he's a mage, and that's the way he was raised, and so forth and so on. There are a lot of reasons for it, but there's also that component that Chris is saying that he doesn't want Roxanne hurt, and it's kind of like the same thing. If he gets too close to her, it becomes an issue of does she become vulnerable, or even more vulnerable, or does she become a tool used against him because of her relation to him? So he doesn't want to put her in that position. And despite the fact that Roxanne's a kick-ass, badass sorceress, and she doesn't need his protection, Monty's Monty, and he's gonna be that way. In terms of strength, I would say Roxanne can hold her own against Monty, but he's really, really, really powerful. He's really strong. Don't forget that he's in direct lineage of Dexter, and Dexter is scary strong. So yeah. So that's kind of that situation. But in terms of bringing the romance, I've had so many people ask me to bring the romance into Monty and Strong. I can't. Not the way people expect it to be. But that's why I started Fate of the Dark Mages. So I can bring the romance the way people want romance. And so that's what I'm writing. So yeah, I'm writing Fate of the Dark Mages for that. The next book, Cold Front, will be out this year at some point. I just have to get to it. Got to kind of get these other books done, and then I can focus on Cold Front. Wow. Okay, let's get to the questions because we're already. Yeah, there are a lot of romance writers out there. Trust me, there's so many. All right, questions. And I can stay here, watch you guys what you write, and I can look at the questions because they're right here. So Chris asks, and let me just say a huge thank you to everyone who drops questions for each Kaffeeklatsch because you guys are amazing. Thank you, and you add a dimension to the show that makes it special. Chris asks, how do you come up with character names? It depends. Sometimes the names just come to me. So, no, like we discussed, like that ether where these ideas and these concepts are just waiting and they just come to me, or I have a character and have a situation. I need a name and the name just pops into my head. I recently had this character called Thomas Rank. He's a dark mage, and he's gonna be in a story. He's gonna be in the bureau. He's a dark mage in the bureau, and his nickname or the name that he's called is the Reaper, and that just all came up all at once. Same thing with Carl the Iron Mage Smith, which is his partner. Again, name just comes up like that, and I don't know where it comes from. Honestly, I don't know. I need a name. It comes up. Sometimes it's that easy, and sometimes I have to look it up. It depends on what the character is going to do in the story. If it's I don't want to say a throwaway character because I don't really create throwaway characters, but if it's a character that has it's going to have a lot of play, a lot of screen time, as we say, it has to be a really thought out and profound name that has meaning. If it's going to be just like the doorman, it's going to be a regular run-of-the-mill name that I can think of, like, Bobby, or, the Sumatran driver, Robert, who just comes in and kind of just drops a car off and leaves and doesn't do anything else. So it could be a quick run-of-the-mill name like that. In terms of which comes first, the character or the name, many cases for me, the name comes first. The name creates the character for me. So like Thomas Rank becomes the Reaper because his name sounds like a dark mage, and so Carl Iron Mage Smith is a light mage, but again, the name comes first, and I kind of form the character around that name. That's just the way my brain works. The same thing happened with Monty and Simon, and most of the characters I create, I get the name first, but the character's right. The character just comes right with the name almost immediately the same time. So it's like that, So that's the case of that. Audrey has questions. Orlando, do you have a superstition? I don't think I have a superstition. I'm not aware of any. Do I have a superstition?
Not that I can think of.
No. I have an awesome little creative altar right on my computer that has all these kind of little tchotchkes that I use for writing that are there, So I have like Doctor Strange, I have Batman, I have Daredevil, I've got Cade from Destiny, Cade 6. I've got a dragon here. I've got a Peaches. I got a Monty and a Simon that Sammy painted for me from Forge. I've got my bracelet. This is the bracelet that I have. That's like what Simon would wear. My rhino and a lion. So I've got stuff like that, but they're not superstitions, just things I like to have around when I'm writing on my writing area or writing altar, as I call it. Yeah. So that's basically what I have in front of me. Dolly, what is your favorite literary character? Audrey would like to know.
It's more type, but I would say an example is Elizabeth Bennet from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. So it's really the type of female character portrayed: intelligent, witty, eloquent, independent, and yet has the sense of judgment to know when to yield and to be aware of her emotions and balance it with, her intellectual thoughts.
Awesome. Take care, Michelle. Have a great weekend. Great answer. I like that answer. All right. Next question from Audrey. What research do you do when writing about magic or mythological characters? Oh, Audrey. That's like when I say when you become a writer, author, you're giving yourself homework for the rest of your life. This is what I mean. You could get lost in the research that you have to do with regular things, but when it comes to like magic or mythological characters, those are rabbit holes you have to really be careful with, because you could spend hours, days, weeks just researching magic and mythological characters. Like I've researched so many different magical systems. I've cataloged mythological characters from depending on the pantheons, depending on the mythos, depending on the origins. It's just all over the place, because Monty and Strong, every pantheon is fair game, because I have so many different pantheons. It goes cross pantheons, right? So we've got Valkyries, we've got Rakshasa, we've got Kali, but also have Hades, and the Valkyries mean that at some point Odin can show up. But then we've also got Zeus can show up at some point too, and then there's other gods that are involved. And in Hunted and the Damned, you got Perun, which is another form of Thor, and it's like Finnish, and one is Norse, and you got the Morrigan, which is Celtic. It's so. If I tell you how much research I've had to read and do, it's just mind blowing. But it's worth it, even though I don't get to put all of that into the story. You get to see, I get to use it in a way that lets you know something a little bit more than usual. So yeah, there's a lot though. The answer is, the short answer, the TLDR on that is a lot, like an immense amount. I spend a lot of time reading about magic, a lot of time reading about mythological characters, a lot about reading about magical sources and where magic comes from and how magic is perceived in different cultures and the origins of magic. And the same thing with the mythological characters. Even though a lot of them are common knowledge, the origins of these characters are really deep and require reading. So when I can depict them in a story, I can do it with ease and deftness so that they don't feel clunky. So yeah, it's a lot of work that goes in. There's a lot of reading, a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into writing these stories. And I would imagine that's the case with any author. You could ask any author, it would be the same thing. Let's see. I got to go back a bit. Monty has romance with his suits. Michelle. Monty has romance with his suits and his watches. Yes. On some level, yes. What is Suma saying? Chi treats Simon like a child. You have to understand, to Chi, he is a child. He's only in his 40s. She's much, much, much older. He is most of the time, as he is new to the world, but he showed her he is serious when he saved her 2 times. I think she does show him respect and take him seriously, because she gave him Evan's soul, which is a huge, huge gesture to trust him with something like that. And the fact that she speaks to him almost as an equal, but you have to understand that she has to overcome a lot of biases that she may have, because to her, he just got here, and she's been around for a long, long time. So, and there's also, for her, for Chi, her emotions betray her. So she deliberately treats him a certain way so she could be a standoffish and not reveal how she really feels sometimes. Okay. I would agree. So let's see. Let me go back. Suma says, Chris, true, the words are important. Yes, words are so important. Words matter. The truth matters for sure. Desk critters and alter to the muse and creativity. Yes, that's basically what I have here. And it's a little bit of me. Also, have a type. I also have a X-wing here, and I have a branch. I can show you guys this. This is a branch of a tree. It's the only tree in my neighborhood it's a Floridian tree. It's a tree from down south. It's a special tree. It's an orange tree that has branches covered in thorns. So this thorn was falling off, and I managed to liberate it. I didn't break it off the tree; it was already broken, but I liberated it. And this is kind of a reminder for me of life. That life has thorns, and you have to learn how to deal with the thorns. Even though it produces great fruit, you've got to learn to live with the thorns as well. So that's a constant reminder there. Where could you purchase a bracelet like Simon's? This was the one that he has got. I'd have to find you the link. This is an actual mala bracelet. It's an awesome bracelet, and these are wood, and they have. I don't know if you can see it. They have characters on them. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'll see if I can get you the link. And then I have this is a piece of jade on my desk. This used to be my mom's piece of jade, and it's pretty awesome. I have to put the red string through it and wear it if I wanted to wear it. So right now it just sits on my desk. And then I have this. This is part of something else, which is a Metatron, but this is a circular symbol. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a bunch of circles. This is a really important symbol, but it's the circle of life, and it has, oh my God, it's just, this has a lot of significance that it would take another show to explain. Okay, so it's deep. Let's see. It's early release. Okay, I can push that point home. Yes. Enemies only try to kill you. Love succeeds where enemies fail. This is true, Dan. All right. Words matter. Truth matter. Intent matters. Yes. Would you care to rephrase your words, or are you tired of living? That's a good paragraph there, Chris. Yeah, research is fun, but it's like, oh my God, it's just it could be a lot of work. Like when I know I have to research something, I have to block out time to realize this is gonna be a few hours worth of like study. It's crazy. Um, you're welcome, Audrey. Will any indigenous Native American gods show up? I can see Coyote having a lot of fun with Simon. I'm very sensitive with the Native American gods because a lot of them are still actively worshipped. We still have a lot of Native Americans in this country, and they pay homage to these gods. So I have to be extra sensitive to how they're portrayed. And it means just doing a lot of extra work in terms of their history, how they would appear, and presenting them or portraying them in the right way, because there are a lot of indigenous people who still revere these gods. So I have to be really careful about how I portray them, which is why I haven't gone and just brought in Coyote or brought in so many other gods that are what are considered the South American gods. So like the Aztec gods or Incan gods with the wild names like Quetzalcoatl and things like that. And there are other authors who have touched upon using those gods. So Stephen Miller, I believe, has used the South American gods, the Incan gods, Mayan gods. There are a few authors who've used them. So I don't want to step on toes. So that's why. Yeah, exactly, Chian. Totally aware of that. Yeah, Native Americans need a special touch. You have to be a little bit more sensitive. I mean, I don't know how many Native readers I have, like Native American readers, but I am cognizant and aware of the fact that when you bring in Native American gods into a story or into a series, you have to kind of do it with a special sensitivity, because again, like I said, many Native Americans, many indigenous people are still holding up or upholding the culture of those gods. And so it's the same reason why you don't see one of the cultures that I was raised in, which is the syncretization of Latin American gods and African gods. So you don't see many African gods in the writing. You don't see Yemaya, you don't see Chango, you don't see all these gods, because there are a lot of right now active worshippers of those gods. And even though I have an extensive history in Santeria and all those kind of things, I don't bring those gods into the books, because the people who practice worshiping those gods, they can be offended. It's very sensitive, you know, and so you have to be really careful with that. Like if I would present those gods, it would have to be in a special context, and again, it would have to be very, very measured for that, for those gods. Yeah, and I try not to write too much about those gods because a lot of those gods are actively worshipped. So if you notice, I start writing about mythological gods because right now no one's really worshiping Hades, and if they are, it's a different kind of acknowledgement of Hades. And I'm not in Greece, so if I were in Greece, maybe that'd be a different story. But I don't want to. It's like the same reason I don't write about modern religion. I don't write about it, and Simon can jump into that. Monty can jump into that, and it's never a topic of any of my stories. And the books deal with gods all the time, but it's how you deal with it that makes it interesting and that makes it respectful of other people's worship. So I try not to get involved in modern day Catholicism, or Christianity, or modern day religions, because again, you're gonna either way you go, you're gonna polarize the story and you're gonna offend someone. And I'm not trying to offend. I'm trying to help people get through their day and have fun and read a story and get away from stuff. I don't want people walking away from a book angry because of something that I wrote. Unless it's part of a story that had to be in there, that's part of the story that had to be in there. That's a different story. But I'm not going to intentionally write about beings that people can worship and offend them. That's never the intention, So I try not to. It's the same reason I put the same reason with paganism. You don't see me put much paganism in any of my stories. The one time I put a witch in the story, which was Jo, she's a badass, but lightly sprinkled because again, I had to do so much research just for that character. And I know a few witches and they would be offended if it's portrayed in the wrong way or if it's not done in the proper way. And so you want to, as an author, you kind of want to be careful with how you portray beings and deities and belief systems. It's important that you do your research and that you kind of really look into how you're going to portray even Goth or Celtic mysticism, things like that. There are a lot of people who still are very worshipful of those things, Right, Chris, we're here to entertain people, not get people upset and start arguments. Don says, I think Simon is rubbing off on Monty. He has a sense of humor and Simon can make him smile. And I laughed hard when he described a pissed Monty on the phone as his English gets worse and worse. Yes, that's really true. That's really fun. For sure, Don. I totally agree. I think enough time passes, you start rubbing off on each other, right? All right, Don, listen, it was awesome. Have a great, great weekend. And yes, that hashtag is true, Yeah, Paige. So what Neil did with American Gods was singular. I don't think he cared about pissing people off, because he kind of touched on all the gods and put them in. But, the same thing with Kevin Hearn. Kevin Hearn took all the Celtic gods and started messing with them too. And so while I can respect the writing, I can't get into doing that yet. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it the way Neil did it, and I wouldn't do it the way Kevin Hearn did it, So, that's just the way it is. We all have different ways of expressing these things, right? And there's so much material that you don't have to you can make up your own God and just create a God of whatever you want without offending anyone. Oh, thanks for stopping by, Christine. That's awesome. Yes, the wizard behind the curtain. Sure. This is a very chill place to start your day, Christine. Welcome. We're almost done. We almost done? Where are you? We're almost done. If anyone has any question they want to ask, this would be the time to ask it. If it's about Shield Bearer or any other current stories, I'm afraid I can't answer it to your full satisfaction. Yeah, I know. I'm wrapping it up. But yeah, exactly. The oh God of hangovers. There you go. Oh God. There you go. Don't worry. You're not late. You're here. Whenever you get here, you are on time. Exactly. Yeah. If you're gonna create a god, please create. If not, if it's a name that's very difficult to pronounce, create a way to uh, a, a way to pronounce the name that people could understand. You know. So don't worry about it, Christine. You're here, and that's what matters. So, anyone have any questions? Ask now. If not, we're gonna start wrapping up because it is time to wrap up. So, I'm going to open it up to. Yeah, Sir Terry's amazing. Listen, I can never get tired of Sir Terry Pratchett. You guys, I'm sure by now you guys can notice that in the mob, because you have to understand, if you've never read Sir Terry, I don't know what you're waiting for. Start with The Color of Magic and go from there. But if you want to appreciate writing at one of its highest levels, read Terry Pratchett, read Sir Terry, and get lost in Discworld. You can thank me later. Just get lost in the footnotes, and you can thank me later. Yeah, but Nasri is amazing. Nasri does great things. Yeah. Lovecraftian gods. I've never done Lovecraftian gods. I studied them. There's already, I think John Corwin does Cthulhu. So that's another thing as an author, that you kind of have to be not avoiding gods, but you kind of have to be sensitive about how other people portray gods. You want other authors portray gods, just as a matter of respect, of professional courtesy, you know. So I like the idea of the god of hangovers. That's awesome. So I'm gonna have to let Nasri know that I know about his god of hangovers. Yeah. Yeah, you can bring in elder gods. You can bring in dark gods. You can bring in these gods, the old gods. There's a whole bunch of gods that are very, very old, and portrayed in almost every mythos. And you can treat them and touch on them any way you want to, but try to stay true to how they're portrayed. That's all. And then you can add your own specific flavor and twist. That's all. Yeah. All the pronunciation. Ooh, no, I stay away from Lovecraftian gods. I don't know what H.P. Lovecraft was thinking when he created his gods, because they're like tongue twisters. Every name is a tongue twister page for sure. Yeah. When he says, "I read about an Aztec Incan and have to close my eyes and power through," yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Because some of those guys, yeah, that's another one with the pronunciation. The Aztec and Incan gods, like Quetzalcoatl or Techicachulacalaman, it's like, huh? What? It's rough, rough on the English tongue. Not rough for them if you grew up, speaking that language. So it all goes as what you're used to. Yeah, I read Lovecraft early on in my reading adventures. Wow, exactly. Wow, yeah. Hog's Watch is very good. Yeah, I like Hog's Watch. So listen, it just read. If I can endorse another author, read Terry Pratchett. You guys, if you're in the mob, I love Terry Pratchett. So pick up a Terry Pratchett book, The Color of Magic, and start there and just go from there. You learn to appreciate subtlety, nuance, mastery of language, mastery of irony and sarcasm, humor. It's all in his books. He has all of that in his books. And you learn as an author. I learned so much just from reading Terry Pratchett. It's incredible how much I've learned, how he has done things, has taught and informed my writing. I mean, and so many other authors as well, obviously. But he was a main influence on my writing, for sure, for sure. Because first of all, he's just so smart. If you think about what he's written and how he's portrayed it, it's just so smart, And then you go from there. He's funny. And Terry had touched upon a lot of the social issues of his day through his writing, and he hit it in the story about the social injustices in his writing, and it's there. If you're looking for it, it's there. He was vocal about it, but he also portrayed it in the story, and the way he treats Ankh-Morpork, and the way he treats the elites, and how he treats people who are poor, and the hierarchies, and how certain strata of government are set up, and even the postal office and things like that. It's all in there, Guards is a great book. Yeah, Heather is a great book. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to read a great author, you can't go wrong with Pratchett for sure. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up because it's 5 minutes past, and this is what happens usually. I want to thank you all for being here today. You guys are amazing. I want to invite you to go. Do I ever put a message in the books? Yeah, you're gonna ask me that now, Chris. That's like a question that you gotta ask at the beginning. How about we do this? Ask me that at the next Kaffeeklatsch early, and I will definitely get into it for sure because there's a definitive answer to that because there's a lot of stuff that's in the books that's not overt, that's very covert for the next show for sure. Just please remind me. I want to invite you all to go check out the shorts at Creative Warrior Wisdom, and even if you don't watch it, hit a like it. Try to watch 5 minutes and then like it. Not just liking it. Watch it and like it. There's a lot of them, 14 at this point. Hopefully they'll help you. They'll touch you. They'll inspire you to do amazing things and live a great life. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the questions. You guys are incredible. And I think we really do need to create a MoB Kaffeeklatsch cafe that we can just invite everyone to and just join everyone there. And I want you to be kind, be unstoppable, and most importantly, be uncommon. Thank you, guys. Oh, let's do the music. 1 through 7. We've got 12 people. So 1 through 7. So the first 10 people that give me a number from 1 through 7, go. And I can put the closing theme. So let's go, guys. Pick a number from 1 through 7, everyone. Before you go. First 10 people. Got 2 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 5. Sorry, 3 5s. 1, 2. 3 more people. Let's go, guys. Before you go. So far, 5 is winning. 3. Okay, at this point, it's going to be 5 because even if another person picks another number, they're not going to unseat 5. Okay, 5 it is. Let's see what it is. Let's see. Okay, so let's go from here. All right. Here we go. I'm going to take off my face. So I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. It's coming up. And have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I'll be in the MoB as usual. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks on the 27th. Take care, everyone.